Today I'm going to walk you through a quick 5-minute demo of our first beta for Data Tools Pro for Salesforce.com. Upon going into the Data Tools Pro login page, you're going to connect and authenticate with your Salesforce.com account. Upon allowing Data Tools to connect to Salesforce, it's going to let us connect just to your metadata, not your customer data, but all of the objects and fields within your Salesforce instance. Now we land on our data migration scorecard. Here we can manage what objects we're planning to migrate into, and at any point we can add additional options. So in this case, I'm going to add business hours. I'm going to update my scorecard, and this is really the hub for our data migration where we're going to do all of our field management and mapping and also report progress. Let's drill into business hours. Once you drill in, we're going to see all of the fields and the data types for business hours, along with any definitions, metrics, or pick list values. I'm going to toggle over to the Migration tab, where we can keep a status for every single field that we plan to migrate or not migrate. In this case, we're not migrating the ID into Salesforce, but we may migrate names and other statuses. We can always filter the fields down by their data type to narrow in and focus on specific areas that we're planning on migrating or not migrating. And then additionally, you can search and seek out individual field names using filtering or search. Now that we've mapped all the date time fields, let's go ahead and try to export this data out for staging. So with Data Tools Pro, we provide a native data export option that allows you to take all of the metadata out of your Salesforce.com instance. And then in our case, once we've identified the fields that we're going to migrate, we can actually build a data staging table, really for any database. In this case, Snowflake is our preferred vendor. So we click Generate DDL script, and what that does is it generates the SQL code needed to generate that SQL table. Let's go back to another object that I was working on before, the account, and look at some other Data Tools Pro features. Salesforce is rich with formula capabilities, and many of your organizations may have many formulas. In this case, I have or what was intended to be a NIX code formula. So by explaining the formula, that's going to send that to ChatGPT and make sense of your Salesforce formula. Now, in this particular case, I know I have a mismatch, and when I use ChatGPT, it's actually going to try to make sense of the description versus the formula. In this case, it says that my description and my formula don't match, so by changing this to NIX 2-digit industry code, now I've got a formula that makes sense. I can update the description, and now my metadata is correct along with my data mapping for me to charge forward. This is also really important when we talk about reporting and mapping all of your reporting fields, also a big part of the data dictionary function for Data Tools Pro. So now when we go back to our migration, we're going to mark down what field we're mapping from our legacy system. We could write any logic or code, and then any notes as we're working with our business stakeholders. So now this one's ready for business review, and we could just as easily export and send this over in a PDF or Excel or paste in an email. Let's go back to the scorecard. And now what we can do from the scorecard view is update our status for our new business hours. We can edit our status, change this to in progress. We could add notes, links to other supporting documentation. And now in our data migration hub, we have our status, and we know exactly where we're at all times per object and per field in our data migration project.